Welcome to Job Bridges Japanese Language Training Center. We provide an online tutorial for people who aspires to work in Japan. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to keep you updated on our lessons to help you master Japanese language in no time. Konnichiwa minasan! Welcome back to Job Bridges Japanese Language video tutorial. And in this video, we'll be discussing about lesson 22. And in 22, I'll teach you how to use noun modification. Are you ready? Noun modification. Before we dig deeper into noun modification in this lesson, let's take a look back on how we modify nouns as you've learned in lesson 2 and lesson 8. So, remember in lesson 2 wherein we discussed Mira-san no uchi or Mr. Miller's house, how you modify a noun making it a property of someone. And in lesson 8, Atarashi uchi or a new house, using new to modify a house. And then of course, another in lesson 8, using adjectives to modify a noun, kirei na uchi or a beautiful house. So we use the term kirei to modify the noun which is a house or uchi as being kirei or beautiful. So how do we transform a sentence fragment or a fragmented sentence into a noun modificator? First, the predicate of the sentence which modifies a noun is in the plain form. In the case of na adjective sentences, da becomes na. And in the case of noun sentences, da becomes no. Take a look at this example. When you want to say a person who goes to Kyoto, you say Kyoto e iku hito. Or if you want to say a person who does not go to Kyoto, Kyoto e ikanai hito. And if you want to say a person who went to Kyoto, which is in a past tense, Kyoto e ita hito. And then for a person who did not go to Kyoto, you say Kyoto e ikanakata hito. See, they are all in their plain form. Now, take a look at this another example. If you want to say a person who is tall and has black hair, remember guys, this is just a noun modificator. There is no noun yet. This will just modify your noun. Again, a person who is tall and has black hair, you say sei ga takakote kami ga kuroi hito. A person who is tall and has black hair, sei ga takakote kami ga kuroi hito. Now next, when we want to express the modifier as a person who is kind and pretty. Again, a modifier that says a person who is kind and pretty, you say shinsetsu de kirei na hito. Again, shinsetsu de kirei na hito. And for a person who is 65 years old as in noun modifier, you say 65 歳の人. Wakatta? Notice how we use no in the case of a noun sentences, wherein 65 歳の. And then for the na adjectives, we use shinsetsu de kirei na hito, changing the da into na as per the rule. Now, another way of making noun modifiers is when nouns or the nouns which are various elements of the sentence are picked out of it and can be modified by it. Listen to these examples. Typically, when we want to say I saw a movie last week based on our previous lessons. It's watashi wa senshu eiga o mimashita. Right? Now, when we want to change it into a modifier, we say watashi ga senshu mita eiga, or the movie that I saw last week. In this part, this is just a modifier, and then you will have to add the noun at the end or at the end of the sentence. Now, another example. In our previous lessons, when we want to say Mr. Wang works at a hospital, we say Wansang wa byoin de hataraite imasu. Again, Wansang wa byoin de hataraite imasu. Now, when we want to change it into a modifier, it'll become Wansang ga hataraiteiru byoin, or the hospital where Mr. Wang works. Here's another example. When we want to say, I will meet a friend tomorrow, in our previous lessons in constructing sentences, it's watashi wa ashita tomodachi ni aimasu. Again, watashi wa ashita tomodachi ni aimasu. Right? But when we want to change it into a modifier, or a noun modifier to be exact, we say watashi ga ashita ao tomodachi. Again, watashi ga ashita ao tomodachi, or the friend whom I will meet tomorrow. Now, the sentences or the last part of the examples are wherein the nouns or the sentence becomes a noun modifier. And then we'll just have to attach the noun at the end. Now, remember, when the nouns in the three sentences shown are modified, notice that the particle o, de, and ni attached to them respectively are unnecessary. Now, the noun modified by a sentence can be used in various parts of a sentence. It could be at the beginning of a sentence. Example, これはミラさんが住んでいた家です. Or this is the house where Mr. Miller lived. In this part, the underlined part of the sentence is the noun modifier, and the これは is the noun being modified by the noun modifier. Or in English, this is the noun, and then the house where Mr. Miller lived is the noun modifier. Now, take a look at the next example, wherein the noun that we are trying to modify is at the end of the sentence. Mira san ga sunde itta uchi wa furui desu. Again, Mira san ga sunde itta uchi wa furui desu. Or the house where Mr. Miller lived is old. Again, the underlined part of the sentence is the noun modifier, which is Mira san ga sunde ita uchi. Same as the above example. But in this part, we are saying that the house where Mr. Miller lived is old. Alright, so the noun here is the furui, wagatta, or old. Now, here are the other ways you can use the noun modifier sentences. So, again, we'll be using the Mira san ga sunde ita uchi, or the house where Mr. Miller lived. Listen to this. Mira san ga sunde ita uchi o kaimashita. Or the sentence is trying to say, or the speaker is trying to say that I bought the house where Mr. Miller lived. Again, the underlined part is the noun modifier. Now, next example, using the same noun modifier, watashi wa Mira san ga sunde ita uchi ga suki desu. Or I like the house where Mr. Miller lived. Next one, Mira san ga sunde ita uchi ni neko ga imashita. Or there was a cat in the house where Mr. Miller lived. And lastly, Mira san ga sunde ita uchi e itta koto ga arimasu. Or I've been to the house where Mr. Miller lived. Notice how we use the same noun modifier in the sentences, but it gives the different meaning or different connotation. Now, noun ga. Notice how many times we use ga in replacing the other particles in noun modifiers. So when a sentence modifies a noun, the subject in the sentence is indicated by ga. Look at this example. Mira-san wa keiki o tsukurimashita. Right? That's how we make the sentence. Now, when you want to change it into modifier, it will become これはミラさんが作ったケーキです。Notice how we change the ミラさんは into ミラさんが。Changing the meaning into this is the cake which Mr. Miller baked. Again, これはミラさんが作ったケーキです。So, do you know which part of the sentence or the second example is the noun modifier? Correct. It's the ミラさんが作ったケーキ。わかりました? Other examples that I prepared for you guys is 私はカリナさんが描いた絵が好きです。Again, 私はカリナさんが描いた絵が好きです。Or, I like the picture that Miss Karina drew. Which part of this sentence is the noun modifier? Correct. It's the Karina-sanが描いた絵が or Karina-sanが描いた絵. Now, how about in this one? あなたは彼が生まれたところを知っていますか? Again, あなたは彼が生まれたところを知っていますか? Or do you know the place where he was born? Which part of this sentence is the noun modifier? Correct. It's the 彼が生まれたところ. Did you get that? わかった? Now in lesson 22, we have this new sentence pattern, which is the verb in its dictionary form, then either jikan, yakusoku, or yoji. So jikan means time, yakusoku means promise, and then yoji means an appointment. So when expressing the time for doing some activity, put the dictionary form of the action before jikan. Example, 私は朝ごはんを食べる時間がありません. Again, 私は朝ごはんを食べる時間がありません. Or, I have no time to eat breakfast. So, verb dictionary form jikan, 食べる時間 or time to eat breakfast. But then in this sentence, the speaker is saying that he doesn't have time to eat breakfast. So, 私は朝ごはんを食べる時間がありません. Now, let's move on into using yakusoku and yoji. You can also say the content of the arrangement or an appointment, etc. by putting the dictionary form of that action before yakusoku or, as I said, yoji. Example, 私は友達と映画を見る約束があります. Again, 私は友達と映画を見る約束があります. Or I have an arrangement to see a movie with a friend of mine. So the 映画を見る約束 is the arrangement to see a movie. And then another example is 今日は借子へ行く用事があります. Again, 今日は借子へ行く用事があります. Or I have something to do at the city hall today. So notice the 行く用事 is the something to do part or the part where there is an appointment or going to an appointment. わかりました皆さん? Alright, that's just it for today. See you on our next videos. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to keep you updated on our lessons so you can master Japanese language in no time.